Call the meeting to order. Everyone please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Okay, Ashley, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Kressel.
Here.
Platt.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Hibma. Here. Jurdy. Here. Fisher.
Here.
Okay, it's time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address the council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Welcome.
Thank you. I was asked by the gentlemen who were down here when I came in to introduce myself tonight. I don't have anything particular to discuss, but my name is Anna Gustafson. I am the new director at Scruffy Tails Humane Society. I just moved to town. I'm at, I don't remember my address because I'm just moving. Forgive me. But I am staying in the city, I promise. I look forward to working with the city council. I hope to be here for the majority of your meetings just because of our existing contract so that we can stay updated on what you guys need. And if you have any questions for me, you're welcome to ask them at those times. So I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Anybody on the phone bridge, Chad?
No one this evening, Your Honor. I'll close the bridge.
Thank you.
Agent logged off.
Okay, this brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add or remove anything from tonight's agenda? Do I have a motion to approve tonight's
So
agenda?
moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clayton. Discussion? Hearing none, let's have roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma. Aye. Jurdy. Aye. Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Your Honor, item 6.03, there's a clerical error. The resolution to approve the housing incentive program for the 2024 to 2025. On the agenda, it says 2022 to 2025, but the resolution already reflects that change, so it's a clerical error.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Thank you. Roll call, please.
We have
Whoops.
discussion.
Whoops.
Could you just do clarification on the incentive program? Is that something that's been, something we've done in the past?
Yes, we've done it a number of years in the past. It did expire at the end of '21, and nothing had come forward till now. I know there's been discussion among this council about doing that, so I brought it forward for your consideration tonight for '24 and '25.
Is this something that has, in its current form, been done exactly like this, or is there
Yes.
new additions to this?
The only addition was you have to get your water credit within the first 6 months, not spread out over the life of the 2-year abatement.
Okay,
That's the only thing different.
okay.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma. Aye. Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 8.01 is a resolution to approve the Commercial Rehabilitation Loan Program and mortgage satisfaction on the property owned by Trek Properties LLC and Wendy Nimitz, single individual, document number A00694427.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Henry. Discussion? Porky, please.
Yes, this is another one of those loans that the city made in the past. Part of it was a forgiveness loan and part of it was a repayment loan. The second item is the other portion of that. All of the conditions of repayment have been satisfied. All the conditions of non-transfer during the 7-year period have been satisfied. The building is now going to be sold, and they need satisfactions for each of these mortgages.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Klatt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.02 is a resolution to approve the rehabilitation loan program and mortgage satisfaction on the property owned by Trek Properties LLC and Wendy Nemens, a single individual, document number A00694426. Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I heard Henry
Henry,
first, I
yeah,
guess.
that's fine.
Thank you, Henry. Discussion.
This is a component part to what I just explained.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Klatt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution adopting the proposed 2024 preliminary levy, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve
So
this
moved, Your Honor.
resolution by Tim? Thank
Second.
you. Second by
Don.
Don. Discussion.
Yes, this is a preliminary levy which was discussed at the last Ways and Means Committee. If you wish to speak regarding this particular matter, please do so. Approach the microphone, identify yourself and where you are living, and then offer your comments for the council's consideration as they deliberate this motion.
Can I make comment too? Because I feel that I got the feeling, and I don't know if anyone else did, but I don't know if like it clearly was explained what was going on. I think a lot of people saw the 69 point whatever percent and then just were like, what the heck, right? And I understand that. I know that in the past we've done this a little bit differently. The way that we've done it this year is that we know that we have to set whatever that top is going to be, understanding that this council is going to try to lower that by multiple ways. One is to line item the budget in the next 3 months, making sure that we're going from our wants and our needs and making sure that this is an appropriate budget for what is really needed in the city, as well as once we've gotten the audit back, we have the opportunity to see if there's any surplus funding from last year's levy, which can be put to this, and then also lower the levy as well. So I just want that to be like clearly noted for people to understand that by no means were we ever expecting this to be a 69.4%. We just as a city have to set that top end that we cannot go over before we can actually decide. In the next 3 months, we're really going to be very thoughtful in going line by line through all these budgets and making sure that it's things that the city needs, not necessarily wants in a lot of cases, to just make sure that we're going forward. And I know that I think has been something that's maybe been misunderstood over the last couple of weeks and the last time that we've had this conversation, but I just want to make sure that people understand that this is us not trying to spend all the money, right? We're just trying to be really thoughtful and not try to do what we've done in the past, which is arbitrarily pull a number out of the sky and then hope that our city budget actually fits under that. I think what we have seen from that past type of work has been that we've not been maintaining our equipment like we should. Things have fallen off the walls that were pretty necessary and to the safety of our workers, and we don't want to do that this year. We want to be very thoughtful in how we go forward in making these decisions about our levies. We also understand that this is a burden financially to our constituents, and we do want to hear from you, and I want you to understand that we're doing this in a thoughtful way and not just without any cause. It's not a free-for-all, and I hope that people can understand that. And we'd love to have your feedback on this, but I also want you to understand that this council does not take this lightly.
Thank you, Christie. Further discussion? Anybody from the audience? I just want to kind of piggyback on what Christie said. The council up here, we don't like paying more taxes than anybody else, and we don't take this lightly. We are going to do our best to lower the levy as much as possible and also we gotta also have the wants and needs our department heads and more so the needs to keep our employees safe. So, anyone else?
I guess I have a question.
Sure.
Do I really have to get up
Yeah.
So this is right
Na-
now.
Name and address, please.
Oh, Melissa Burnett, 721 Pleasant Avenue.
Thank you.
So here's my question. Where, like, I remember it's been a long time since I've seen it, like sidewalks were gonna be fixed, et cetera. I listened to and watched one of the YouTube videos of your guys' meeting, and I mean, it sounds like our community has a decent sized amount of money already. And at the same time, I continue to watch many, many things increase in prices in town. I mean, all the way down to athletics for our kids. I mean, I have 5 kids. Granted, a couple of them are gone, but that's hardly affordable for me and my husband, who both work full-time jobs and decent paying jobs. But then we're asking for more money from our, community, from our property. I couldn't even, put my fence on my property when there was nothing underneath it. But you want more money from me and my property, which really stinks. Coming in here, almost crashed, like 2 or 3 times. She's seen it. This guy over here was right behind us. I mean, over Oxcart days, someone fell out of their wheelchair because of how bad our sidewalks are, but there's not really a big excuse. I mean, we've had this pavement for a really long time. I mean, the city has had money for years to pay for things like this, but now we want to increase. I'm just not getting it. As a property owner who has continued to put money into our property for the city of Crookston. I mean, I've done a lot of things to my property alone. And I was just telling her, I was wondering where my increase in my mortgage came from recently, and it's from an earlier increase, and I, as a mom of many kids, as a citizen of Crookston my whole life, 41 years, like I was born and raised here, and the thought of moving has thoroughly continued to run through my head, because I feel like we're going nowhere as a community. And then it's like, let's raise taxes on properties. And then we have an RV park going in. I mean, I don't really see how that's gonna benefit our community. Even over Oxcart days, we don't have many people staying, and if they do, they're staying at hotels or at family members, because that's what they're coming for, is the family time, This was the first year that we were even in Crookston for Oxcart days. Usually we bolt as soon as I hear the name for the week. Just because I don't know. I feel like when I was growing up, our community had a lot of things, and I don't know how I get the cost for everything for you guys all as well, and for the city has gone up as it has for all of us. But I don't know, I guess I had a question.
I think back when you were growing up, when the city was prospering, I'll bet the taxes back then were probably increasing to the point so we could do good stuff for the city. And I think over the past few years, we stopped that, and we started to decline in the spending of the city, and therefore a lot of our equipment and the state of our city, our sidewalks and different things started to go backwards. So what we're trying to do in setting this levy out, we're at a high level right now, and what Chrissy said, we're gonna bring it down lower, is we're looking at every single item to see what's best for our city, and try to move forward in a better way than what we have in the past, I want our city to flourish. I look at different cities around Minnesota, and there are cities that are going backwards, and I would consider Crookston being one of those cities, and I want to try to change the trajectory and start, making people look to Crookston instead of Grand Forks to come here to live. So at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do.
I think there's a couple of things just to kind of address some of your concerns. I think this council, and again, everything doesn't happen overnight, right? And so we have received like $1 million grant from the ADA to actually fix our sidewalks, both on Main Street and Broadway. And so that's in process, but it's gonna take us a couple of years to get to that, because we have to work with MnDOT. So just know that those have all been in process and are things that we are working on. As far as the campground's concerned, that again is another grant that we got from the Red River, what is it? Red River?
Red Lake River Corridor, but it was
Corridor.
legacy dollars.
Yeah, and so we have, these things aren't necessarily coming, it's not either or a lot of times. It's because we've gotten the grants or the monies to do those things, and we're working with the state or the city or those associations in order to get that. But I completely understand where you're coming from, and I understand your frustration. I think what this council has really been in, we've been trying not to be the city of no. We're really trying to go forward. We have a great ADA person. We have a business plan. We understand that there are dollars that we have questions about. We too are trying to find out what is that magic number that we should have in reserves, and how can we utilize those other funds then to lower levies and to do the things that we need to do. But just know that those are things that council are prioritizing this year. And I hope that you can see that as we kind of go forward in the conversations that we're having. We are looking at doing assessments for our whole city, our streets, our sidewalks. We know that we're in desperate need of those things in order to make this a better place. But this does take time, and we are coming from a very different place than the previous council. And we ask that you take some trust in us and try to do that, but we also understand your frustration with that. And that is why we're only setting this levy, so we're not just arbitrarily picking a number that we can't go back on later, and that we're not putting the city in a place that then we can't make those fixes that need to be done. And that's why we're leaving it at the levy now, so then we can actually make an educated decision about what that really should be, keeping things like that in mind.
So seeing as this is a proposed levy, does the community have a say when you guys set that lower number, or keep the number the same? Like, or is that just something that's all bid on amongst?
Well, it's a truth in taxation in December is when you'll actually see where those dollars in levy will come in and what that'll actually be. This is just something that the state requires us to do to set this top end. And then we have until December to actually come down to like what we actually want the levy to be. And then there will be the truth in taxation where you'll see where all those dollars would go and what that levy will be initially.
Okay.
So one of the things that we're trying to get at, Chrissy kind of touched on it a little bit, is when we set a levy year after year, at the end of the year, sometimes those levy dollars that we went and got, they weren't all spent, and those funds go into an unrestricted reserve. And over the years, our reserve has been, I think, growing. So what I'm proposing is, once we figure out after our audit, once we figure out what those reserves are at, and if we grew our reserves from last year, and it's probably not the correct term, but overtaxed or over-levied, then what I want to do is take those overtaxed dollars and put them towards the next year's budget, and that would there increase or decrease the levy that we would have to get to run our city. So I think in the past, if we levied and we didn't use all the dollars that we levied for, then it just went into the savings account, for lack of unrestricted reserves.
And
So
they
now
do
what
take
we're
that into
trying,
account.
yeah, what we're trying to do now is figure out what's the number we want our reserves to be. And if it grows from year to year, then we can take that excess from one year and put it back into the budget so we can decrease our levy for the following year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know that the public budget meeting date is December 11th at 5 o'clock.
Anyone else? Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Klatt,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Himma,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.04 is to discuss on the Parks and Recreation budget.
Okay, and this item here is discussion only. I think some of the council members had a few questions regarding the Park and Rec budget.
Jake, if you would
Is
take
there
the mic.
anybody here from the blue line?
Blue line is the Blue Line contract is not part of this budget.
Yeah, I know. I know that, I think they had questions initially about what the contribution from the Blue Line was. Did we get those financials?
Just got them at the end of the day. I haven't had a chance to review them yet, but we did get a summary of what they have spent and what they make, yes.
Okay. I just knew that they had expressed interest in being here at this, and I believe I was shared that they had no intention or desire.
Right, Jake and I have each spoken with the officers, one or more of the Blue Line Club. They said submitting the financial data would be sufficient. They did not have any desire or intention to come tonight.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I
Did we-
guess,
I had sent you the highlighted, the budget, and then the list from Audrey. Do you just want to go through that, or do we want to do this line by line?
I think we go through the list that you sent me, if that's okay.
Yeah. Did Audrey also get you the list from the previous discussion?
The discussion was,
The
there was
first time around?
there was one financial question on there that I will be able to answer for you.
Okay.
Other than that, it was recommendations with air conditioners and HVAC units and stuff for the CSC. So
Okay.
that's the answer that I have for you.
Okay. Do you want to go through what I highlighted, or?
That was the questions. I
Okay.
emailed the whole council, and the only one that brought questions back to me
Okay.
were you.
Great.
So.
So the current budget for Club Kid is being upped by 5K. Is there any justification for that?
Our numbers have increased for that. So in 2022, we had 62 participants at, I got my notes here, $260. We increased our fee to 300 this year, and we had 69. So my anticipation for next year will be more participants, and I believe that because we do not have a lot of daycare provided in this community.
Okay.
So that's why my revenue
So what
went
you're
up.
speaking about is increased revenue.
Revenue.
Yep.
Increased revenue. Yep.
And then the rent for the arena went in
Is that the
the
30?
miscellaneous revenues was 9,000 last
Yep.
year, and then current budget was 300, and then there was nothing proposed for this year?
So we reclassified that and we put that into the 35186, 6226 budget. So Audrey and I and Corky sat down, and being that that is a rink revenue, an arena or a CSC revenue, we wanted to reclassify it, put it into the arena revenue line items.
Okay. Then, I know we had talked a little bit about this, the cost of coaching has gone up a little bit. And you're at 54,000 under
Yep.
organized rec. But there's like multiple coaching salaries and then like multiple temporary coaching salaries. It's not just these two.
So we'll get to that other one that you were talking about. But what I have done since I've started is I've always gone by the AFSCME percentage on the contract. So it was 2% this year, so I increased that budget by 2% for the coaching and supervisors.
Okay, so like 22's actuals for temporary salaries were 48 and now it's 70. That seems pretty significant.
Are we talking about the coaching and supervisor, or are we taling about the temporary, because they're
the-
separate?
Is temporary coaching or is it
No.
just temporary for
Temporary is
other
like
things?
my staff that work at, for Park and Rec things. Coaching is more like you're gonna coach a baseball team, or you're gonna
Okay.
coach a hockey team, or we pay volleyball, officials out of that, things like that.
So if you're playing,
temporaries-
isn't the officials, wouldn't that be considered coaches and supervising?
That's what yeah, well, no, I don't think so.
Okay, so we went
But-
from 48 to 70, and that is just based on
And
the
that's because I would
AFSCME?
pay them, so we're talking about two different line items. So we're talking about the coaching and supervisor or the temporary now?
The temporary.
Okay, so the temporary, and the notes below, I brought to everyone's attention about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, about I wanted to bring seasonal and temporary staff to $18 an hour. And with that, I took the full 2022 hours that we worked in organized rec, multiplied by 18, and I got that sum,
Okay.
that salary line item.
And then the recreational equipment going from 15 to 20,000?
Yes, and with that is, it's, to my mind, Park and Rec is an important part of our department, and to have the correct, up-to-date equipment, I think is a safety. So with things rising, as far as cost for equipment, I feel $20,000, can get me to what I'd like to do with our equipment that we offer. for
So is
our
it like a
programs.
one-time cost, or is that gonna be 20,000 every time?
It might not be every time, it all depends, maybe an every other year thing, depending on bats, helmets, catcher's equipment, or just things that we offer and provide, so.
Okay. And then, I don't know if this is just a cost of things, but it seems like the tournament expenses went from 250 to, and I understand with COVID, but like, you had 5K and then you had 7,000 and then it's up to 10. And then like the year-to-date, we
Where-
actually,
Where are we at?
the tournament expenses.
So with the tournament expenses, the last year we've ran, last season or this winter, we had a regional tournament. We brought 15 UA team and they participated in tournaments. The year prior, we brought in a sub-state tournament for our Legion program. So with tournament expenses, there's things that we kind of pay for outside of the box to make it better. So I'm working hard to bring tournaments back to town, and having a little funding for everything that we can offer is why I put $10,000.
Is there a revenue that we're getting from those tournaments as well?
Yeah.
That offsets this?
Yep. So, depending on what tournament it is, I know like for the Babe Ruth tournament, each team paid $300, but we also gotta pay for, staff cost and then also, like umpires. You know, umpires are big, and with, every year an umpire can get paid differently. Like if we're running low on umpires, they might charge $125, $150 a game. So it kind of varies on what's going on, and so.
And your year-to-date actuals right now are at 13K, but you budgeted 10. Was there a reason that it would have been more this year, that we would have
Where are we at?
still on the same line item? So your year-to-date right now is at 13,355. Your current budget was 75K, so I was just curious, is 10K an actual, like, feasible budget number?
What page, Christie? I can't.
It's page 4. Did you have the copy that I initially gave you of this?
Yes, and then I sent out I'm working off of a September budget, so the numbers that you gave me are different, so they were emailed to you, prior to this meeting.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to find where you're at.
Is that the one that was just emailed to us?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't obviously had a chance to look at those.
So you're talking about 45100-0336?
Mm-hmm.
So year-to-date is 13,000, I'm budgeting 15.
Oh, because you had 10 on here.
Yeah, so I'm budgeting 15.
Okay. And do we know what, like, the offsetting cost is on that?
I do not, but I can find out that I can get you that number.
I mean, I love the idea of bringing tournaments to town, but I also want to make sure that we're,
Offsetting cost?
yep.
Okay.
And I know that Blue Line Club says that one of the big things is they're buying jerseys. So is that a part of like the Erickson embroidery youth hockey jerseys?
The Blue Line Club did not buy jerseys. That's part of the city now. as
Oh,
we took
okay.
over the
Because I mean,
program.
that was like a part of the whole thing when everyone came in and said.
Well, and
that-
tournament fees too, so is that account for
They're
tournament?
paying for the tournament fees, so when we send our kids to Virginia, Minnesota, or wherever it may be, that's in their contract that they pay for those, and then when we send kids to districts, and if they make regions or make state, then they pay for those. The jerseys are not included in that payment.
Okay.
Do we know how much, when we have tournaments, I mean, and if you don't, just what revenue that brings into the city through hotels and restaurants and bars?
Not through the hotels and restaurants, I do not know the revenue that brings into the city as a full. But typically, so when we hosted, like again, this summer, we hosted the Babe Ruth tournament, every team paid $300. But there's an expense to that too, like you pay your umpires and, like some of it, so, but that was, we paid $300 per tournament, so.
Okay.
And when you're sending kids to other tournaments, depending, you know, like hockey, for instance, it's roughly, you know, 12 to 1,500 bucks that you're, for that one team. So that's what I'm.
And then Jake, do you have an updated on this 225-451-0000487, the youth recreation? We went from actuals in '22 from 11,000 to current budget at 20, and now it's at 30.
Yep, so that is what I came to last year with. That's what I took the new jerseys for hockey, for our youth hockey out of. So that is on tonight's financials. I got the bill from Steve. So that will adjust and change as we move forward from today.
But the current budget from 20 to 30, what's the big jump in cost from last year to this year? With the things rising in cost, that's the thing is, I mean, if I have to take some out of there, I can, but I just wanted to start somewhere and work from that number, so. Okay, it's increased by 10,000 for the last 3 years here, so I'm just wanting to make sure that we're
Yep,
being conscious of that. We had one for special events as a revenue for swimming pool expenses.
yes,
So we went from actuals of like about 3,000 to 4,000, and then we had a zero budget. And I know that the pool's been closed for a little bit,
Yep.
but there's no proposed budget, but we've hired somebody who's supposed to be managing the pool, so.
I put 2,000 in there. We had year-to-date 1,408, and then we hired a new pool manager, everyone knows, and we've done some things to the pool, so knock on wood, we've been open and for a while and not closing. So we've had some issues, obviously everyone knows at the pool, so that line item is a little hard to justify. But with Michaela being there now and with full staff for lifeguards and things, I do think we could start running some special events and some for things for our community. So.
Yeah, I think we should try to get more revenue in that regard.
Yep.
To keep that open and a little bit more sustaining. So the whole miscellaneous revenue for the rent school UMC,
Yep.
so what? it
So
went
you were
from-
showing roughly what on yours?
So it
Oh, I can
went from
look at it,
actuals of 67,000, and then your current budget was 38,000, but your year-to-date was 118,000.
So that got put in the wrong spot. So that 118,000 should be the UMC and school district revenue for the arena. That's in their contract.
So is it 118,000 minus something, or is it just,
So it should be, if you look, on the new one, so current budget, we had 38,000, year-to-date, we have 30,500. UMC will no longer be using, they're not renewing their contract for $8,000 at the pool. So I'm going off of the school contract with the pool, which is $30,000 for a proposed budget this year, in that line item. So
And then-
118,000, that's a finance. I don't know why that got put in there. But I did find out, that's the one that I did circle, and that's the comment that you had with your question and that's what I found out, so.
okay. Like, you obviously would understand that I wouldn't have been able to read through the stuff that you just sent us.
No, I get that,
Okay,
no. yeah.
I just want to
I'm
make
not-
sure that,
yep,
like,
you made that
if
clear.
I had that
Yep.
information earlier, I could have done that. So how much has actually been given to us then from the school and from UMC for
year-
the?
year-to-date right now
For the
is-
arena,
Oh,
right? Isn't that what you're saying this 118,000 should have been for?
Is the arena,
Right,
yes.
so what do they normally give us?
So this year, with UMC, so are you asking about what they're giving us for the CSC now?
Yes,
Okay. So this season, or this year right now, UMC paid $53,060.40. And that gets broken up, 2023 and 2024. It gets broken up into two payments.
so it's a two-year
2
payment.
years, well, yeah, yep. And then,
It's actually paid half in 1 year,
Half
half in
in
the next year. Not a calendar year, but a fiscal year.
yep.
Okay, and then the school's renting the CSC
The
as
school
well?
currently, yep, they paid us $117,660.63. And that is based on, and Corky, if you can explain that, that's based on what the school's percentage
What happens
adjusts.
is they pay us, and any increase or decrease is based on the state funding percentage levels per student unit. at the school. that
And that's
goes
per
up or
year?
down Per year.
And then UMC's, they go 2% increase till 2024.
And these are the kind of things that we are going over in our department heads, line by line, item by item. And we have already met with 2 department heads, and that will, each council meeting, I will be giving you a report as we do this through the departments.
Okay. So under swimming pool expenses, the building repairs and maintenance, that'd be the 02222.
Is that the pool expense?
Yes, pool expenses.
Okay.
It goes, your current budget was at 19,000, and then you're proposing a 10,000, so it looks like it went from 30 to 15 to 19, and now it's 10. Is there monies being put somewhere else for this one?
I've sat down with Corky and talked about this, you know, with the 2022 feasible study that we got for all our facilities. I think we need to explore a different avenue of how we want to pay for the pool. I believe that if we put 10 in there, 13, 50, whatever we put in there, there's still not going to be enough money to fix what really needs to be fixed at the pool. That's just how I feel. If you guys feel different and we want to look at adjusting something, I'm more than welcome to do that. But we really need, with the studies that we've done and paid for and what they're telling us, that's a whole nother conversation.
This is part of our financial management plan.
Yep.
How we address the pool, whether it be long-term, short-term, is going to be a component of that financial management plan.
And I know that we haven't gotten those reports. I'm just wondering if we're gonna have like the ability to have some type of presentation on some of the like state of the
Absolutely,
buildings.
absolutely. As we prepare the financial management plan, we will address the pool, we will address other facilities, we'll address the streets. When we get that all together, that's a part of this particular plan that we've all talked about. And I know that when we sat down with Jake, Audrey, and I and discussed this, we put this as a placeholder because it's a broader discussion, as you all know. What, if anything, will we do with the pool, and how will we finance it if we move forward?
Are we gonna get those reports?
I heard back from Lunseth. I emailed him last week, Adam Sinks. He told me the report will be sent to me October 11th.
For the pool?
For the pool. And that would be the HVAC part of that.
For the overall reported assessment of the buildings, are we getting those reports as they're done, correct?
They are done, yeah, absolutely, you'll be getting them.
Okay, soon?
Well, I can give them to you whenever you want. You can get them all right now. Thought it would be a good idea to send them out as we approach the financial management plan. But I can give you all of the reports. We'll get those emailed to you, or you can pick up a copy within the next 2 days.
The one for the Highland Park complex, I'm assuming for the temporary, was that also part of that
Yep.
percentage increase?
Yep, so all the temporary salary line items would be for the increase. And again, I took the total hours in 2022 times 18, so.
And then coaches during that, it seems pretty
That-
low.
No, that's something I took out. We have money budgeted in organized rec for coaches and supervisors, so I feel we don't need to put it at the Highland Complex for a line item.
So
Unless you
where-
feel different.
Well, where are you putting it
That would
instead?
come out of organized rec, coaches and supervisors budget.
And is that gonna be the same for the CSC, for hockey and all other sports?
I don't believe I have anything at the CSC, but I can double check.
Like, what do you do for coaches for hockey and stuff, or is that
We
not?
pay them out of that organized rec fund.
Doesn't Blue Line Club also pay them? That's another thing that they said that they were paying for.
No.
No, the city has
the city
paid
pays
for
coaches
years,
and officials.
officials.
Well, I mean officials, but they said they paid for like coaching and other things and jerseys and things that apparently they're not paying for anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
We used to do jerseys and equipment before the city took it over.
Yep.
Well, when was
Never
that?
coaches. The city
No, 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, when Evan came in,
That's a
They said
discussion
that
for
they-
another time. That is a discussion.
So all the
that's not here.
coaching that we do for our rec comes out of the organized rec fund. You know,
So there isn't a line item per like sport or
there is a
anything?
line item, but I didn't budget for it, because we take it out of the organized rec supervisor and coaches fund.
Is that best practices?
What?
Like having just like a pool, and then you don't really understand what's sport or thing you're doing is?
I don't have an answer for you on that. There's a line item that I budget for, and that's what we take it out of, so.
Okay.
I-
For the ball field maintenance, under this as well, the 0225 ball field maintenance.
Yep.
So you went from like 16 to like 31 to like current budget's 13, and then we're at 20. Can you explain like the variation there? In cost?
With the ball field maintenance, we do take care of 10 different ball diamonds, so we take care of all of Ray Eklund, and then the 3 behind Highland there. The year-to-date, there's still more coming in. You know, we buy all the agar lime, we buy bases, we buy all the clay, and like the drying for the fields, and there's just, costs have gone up, so that's why I put $20,000 this year. And again, that's something that I can go back to and look at things and cut down for a process, so. This was our preliminary, so.
Okay.
I think we're looking at ball field maintenance, some additional fencing out there too, right?
Yep, and that, I put that in the CIP, this year, but, yeah, we did put some new fencing on Diamond 1, and I'm asking to do the same thing for our Diamond 5 and Diamond 6 this year, enclose them, so, yeah, but it could come out of that fund as well if you needed some, some money, so.
Okay, and then going to the downtown square,
Yep,
the salary's temporary. It went from like 14 to 8, and then current budget is 21, and then you're back down to 15. Was there like some significant costs that we're not accounting for that we lowered that?
again, that comes back to I took the amount of hours worked in 22 times 18.
Yeah, but your current budget's 21 and now it's 15. Did that change?
No, I'd have to look deeper.
That was a line item from last year, potential budget.
And that was a 3.5% increase from the 2021, or 2022, I think. So this year I took all the hours, and so that's why it's changed back to 15, so.
Okay. And then going to revenues for arena expenses.
Yep,
We had sharpening where we had like $28, 0, then 1,000's our current budget, and then year-to-date, we're at 0.
I think, I know for a fact that we've had some revenue in 2022, 2023. I don't have those numbers for you, but I think that got coded incorrectly. So I have that circled to talk to Audrey about, to get those numbers for you, Christie, so.
Okay. And then on the same page, you had the arena rent on here. So is this accounting for what we put in that other line item? Because you have an arena rent miscellaneous too for non-departmental. There's like 2 line items that are kind of going in different spaces. I was just wondering why those are separate.
Are we talking,
So on page
Yep.
14, you have that arena rent, right? But then on your page 2, you also have arena rent.
so that's what we took and we allocated those funds to this revenue account, the arena revenue account. The rent arena, that is what the high school and the UMC pays us. So that's what I budgeted for next year. So that's where that got moved up to.
And okay. All right. And I was just kind of curious about where this ICE rent NT and ICE rent TX under interdepartmental revenue, like what those actually were.
I gotta ask Audrey about that. We were supposed to meet today. She had some
She had some reasons she
Yeah.
couldn't be here. One of the questions we had as well was, why do we tax some ice rent and why do we not tax others?
Yeah.
And we need to get that, that's one of the issues that's occurring within the finance department now as a result of some of the processes that have happened in the past. And as you all know, we will be going through our departments to do this very thing. And we will be, that's the summary report I will attempt to bring you each council meeting.
And what is this ice rent then, outside of what you're already renting the arena for? What's the ice rent for?
That would be for, an example would be if, like the last couple of years, the NDSU Girls Hockey Club has called me, they say, hey, we need 3 hours of ice. So I believe that's what that ice rent would be for.
And that's different than the arena rent?
That's different than the arena rent. The arena rent, talking with Audrey, moving forward, we were gonna put that UMC and the high school rent into that account, and then everything else would be in your ice rents, revenue accounts.
Okay. And then I had asked you had noted like permanent sharpening and income or advertising income would go into the appropriate park and rec accounts, but what are those appropriate accounts?
So the Blue Line Club, part of their payment is advertising income, so that's the revenue account that it would come in for. So the 351866224 would be that line item for the advertising.
And then the rent, the arena would be that
UMC.
6226 then?
Yep.
And then where are you guys gonna put these other two? The other rent taxed? and
That's what I
open
have to
skating,
talk to Audrey about. I have to talk to her and see what,
Where those are gonna go?
yeah, where she wants, what we want to do with those line items.
Let me see, I don't need to ask about that one again then. Okay, so we're on arena expenses. The repair equipment, we went from like 9,000 to 48,000 to 25,000, which is our current budget, and then we're back up to 40,000 in proposed budget. The significant increase in cost?
Yeah, we've had a lot of issues out there. We've had some pipe issues with leaking glycol. We've had some pumps up in our HVAC go out. Last year, this winter, we had a compressor go out. We had one of our pumps go out on our condenser unit. So it's just a cost that I set that I think we should keep due to, our building is 12 years old. So things start to deteriorate and they need to be fixed. So that's
Okay.
why I put that in there.
And then the building repairs and maintenance right under that one?
Yep, just the same thing. If we need to buy new equipment for something, if we need to, the repair things with, up top would be for, if you can repair it, you can repair it. If you can't, we gotta buy a new pump for it. Again, that compressor was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a lot of money. And just things around the rink that need repair or we need to buy or maintain, so, that's why I put it up there. But again, if I need to take some off, I can look at taking some things off too, so.
Okay, and what would the difference between repairing an equipment versus the building repairs and maintenance?
So if I could, if a pump goes out and I can bring it to a mechanic shop and they can repair it, they can fix it, they can buy parts for it, and fix it. If not, like the compressor, they couldn't fix that because there was metal pieces that are broken and just non-repairable. So I had to buy a
Okay.
brand new compressor.
Okay. And then the next page, on page 17, you had other improvements. And so we went from current budget of 15K to actual year-to-date has been 47,000, and then we have proposed 15 again. And that's 0530.
So that 47,000 is the money that came through for the wired electric bill. So that was the recovery funds. So 15,000 would be for other improvements, 10,000, and then we put a $5,000 reserve battery fund. So if we need to buy new batteries for the electric cycle we have a fund for it, a reserve fund for it.
Sure, but what's the 47 that's already year-to-date?
That was the wired electric software
What?
update.
Oh, the software
Yep,
update,
yep.
okay. Okay. Then we had, on page 19, the senior citizens program, we had contractual at 78, and then current budget was 91. Is that still,
The 91,980 is what I believe you all approved in 2023.
is this with the snow?
No, this is essentially the grant that was given to the Golden Link.
Okay, and we didn't have them come in and do,
We had that last year.
yeah, but every year normally don't we have them
We've
give
got
us?
the proposals from the various organizations which we are reviewing, and we will be making recommendations to you about those.
Aren't those normally presented to all of us? Am I not?
I
Am I
don't
mis-
think so. I think it was different last year. We did have it last year.
Yeah, we did have it
But
last year, and they
people
all
came in.
presented their proposals, and then the city council decided on them.
Yes, and you will decide again this year. We will be making recommendations to you as a group about which proposals we think would be appropriate and which wouldn't.
But we'll see all the proposals?
We will make all the proposals available, yes.
And will they come in and share like they have in the past?
No, that's not the plan at this point.
Wouldn't that make most sense to hear them out?
I don't think it makes most sense. If you want that done, you can. But you will have all the proposals and the recommendation.
I mean, I kind of was hoping that they would come in with their proposals before we set the,
Yeah,
Well, we can't set it any higher.
well,
so-
I know, but I mean, if they come in with a number, it's actually gonna be higher because,
And it's part of the budgeting process, so if they have proposals, you can decide, yes, we want this one, that one, and the amount. It won't change the budget levy.
well, obviously, but, so we got the levy set at what it is, so if we approve, the 91,000, that means the department's gonna have to cut that to fit that in, right?
No. This is the most you can go up.
yeah, but when we set a budget, we set it based on all the wants and needs. And
Based
so
on what
those
the
are not being
departments-
considered as part of that initial
What the
budget.
Yeah, what the department's budgets were, that 69% wasn't considering any of the additional stuff.
Well, this will be in for let's say, yes.
The senior citizens
Is
is
budgeted.
in the park and rec budget.
Yeah,
The-
they still normally did their presentation,
The
but,
Scruffy Tails is not. I'm trying to remember the other ones that were approved last year. But if you want presentations, we can arrange for them to come in and do
Well,
that.
I'm apt to say that if they didn't get it in before we set the preliminary budget, it's too late.
I thought traditionally we actually
We
listened to them
actually,
before
in the
this.
past,
You did-
mean,
I know we
actually
did last year.
Considered there before we set the preliminary levy, because it was all based on, the levy was all based on
The
everything,
total budget.
the whole budget.
I just know when the senior citizens, they came and presented that, I don't know, was it last year or the year before?
It was last
Anyway.
year, and they showed us their budget and everything.
But they were
so we had
going,
that.
right, but they were asking for
An
quite a
increase.
bit of increase.
Right,
So-
but all that stuff was on top of what the department heads requested for their budget.
Yeah.
So then
I also
after
think
we
it's important for the
decided, then-
public to know what's being asked of the city, and
Right.
it should be by those organizations that they present that, and I think that just in true transparency seems to make the most sense.
But I also think in defense of the senior citizen program, for years and years and years, has always been under the park and rec budget. So you know,
I don't have anything against it, and I'm not saying no to it. I just think that it's nice for everyone to be able to hear.
I hear where you're coming from, but I'm just thinking that, you know, they know it's budgeted and they never for years came in until this last.
Didn't that have something to do with the snow and different changes that went on? Is the reason why they
Like-
came in and gave the budget? You mentioned it earlier, but I think you were right.
Yeah, it was part of
What
it.
was being done was the city was plowing the snow of that private. And, but I understand what you're saying, and what I'm telling you is, we can set them to come in and present. And I think within the parameters of the 65%, there will be some things removed. They can be incorporated into the amount that we levy.
I don't think that's the issue. I think it's the fact that we're
Yeah,
looking at a
right.
full
That-
budget, not just, and all these like kind of add-ons after the
So
fact.
basically, right now, the way it is, the departments are gonna have to cut to fit these other guys in.
I think that's fair, yes.
So that's my point. My point is I think they should be done and considered into the total sum of what that, so then we can have a discussion like we did last year and saying, hey, I don't agree with the number that you're coming to us with, or we agree, or whatever the case may be, but I think it needs to happen. I mean, now it's too late this year, but I mean,
Well, in the future, that can be.
we need to hear
scheduled.
their pleas before we set the levy, the top end of the levy.
Yep, and I think we should have more discussion about this, but just for the sake of time, and Jake's just standing here, apologize about that. Let me just finish asking you the couple of questions I have here left. For municipal parks on page 21, the materials that you have, we went from like 24 to 15 to 20 and now 30. I was just curious what that was.
Again, that's
Significant cost.
kind of the same answer as the CSC. It's just, you know, things if we need to buy things for, you know, like tires for a vehicle or parts and stuff like that for certain things, or wood for projects. It's just material cost for the park and rec, or the park maintenance side of our department.
Okay, and then the professional fees, a couple down, the
Yep,
0312.
that would be our payment that we've made for our campground project.
For your what?
Campground project.
Oh, okay.
And it's more than that now from what you have, but you have the.
We didn't have a budget for it, so is that budgeted somewhere else and then?
That, Corky, do we pay for that ahead of time and then we get our money?
We get reimbursed, we pay for it and then we're reimbursed from the grant for the
grant,
campground.
yep.
Okay. I don't know if I had anything else on here. Flag situation. I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Any further discussion with the Park and Rec budget? Okay. Moving on, reports, Corky.
Been a pretty busy week. We have obviously had departmental budget discussions. I've met with Phil Schramm from North Star Lime, and we had a conversation with the deed representatives, and that looks like very likely he will be granted, not he, but North Star Lime will be granted that MIF grant in the amount of $430,000, but they are getting final information that Audrey and I supplied to them. We attended RFP pre-proposal meeting with Brandon regarding the proposals for requests to do the infrastructure analysis, and there were 7 participants, which is a good sign. We all attended the AIC meeting. We met with the university regarding a land lease for the agricultural land near the airport, and we're in discussions with that. We interviewed a new firefighter, potential one. Met with Chris Boyk regarding the repairs to the sidewalk and the concrete and the lighting at the library. And also met with Megan Peterson regarding a community collaboration for an application for us to use to be available for things like the community calendar and events that occur in the city. That's all I have.
Thank you. Darren, anything tonight? Thank you. Shane? Thank you. Chad?
Just briefly, Your Honor, we completed UPS, which is basically the site backup installation at the community center, and that is getting us very close to the end of our network upgrade. Our phone system is on track, and Zach and I will be receiving training on how to use the cloud-based interface for that coming up next week, and we're just awaiting delivery of the phones at this point. So that's moving forward. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Brandon, I guess you're on wastewater and water report, anything?
The water main replacement on Houston Avenue is complete. They had passed the bacteria and pressure tests, so they'll be picking up the temporary lines here this week and they'll be out of there. So it'll be gravel on the portion that was dug up for the water main replacement till next year when the road's redone. We got our biannual inspection for our wastewater facility. I don't have a report on it yet, but she said there wasn't anything that stuck out to her, so that's good. I've been working with Chuck the last week and a half. Charles, I call him Chuck. I think he likes being called Chuck, but getting him up to speed on where I was at with some of the public works stuff that he's taken over, and it's been good working with him, and I think he'll be a good fit for that position. So that's all I have this week.
Thanks, Brandon. I guess we'll go with Charles, or should we call you Chuck? What will you prefer?
Chuck is good. You know, when you have to do the formal documentation, I use my full legal name.
Okay, well, welcome. Thank you.
Yes. So before getting started with department updates, I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor and to the city for giving me this opportunity. And I hope to serve the city of Crookston, and thank you, and I very much appreciate that. Updates. I've been working closely with the superintendent, Dave Lassard, and former Public Works Director, now Utility Director, Brandon Carlson. They've been giving me updates and just training as we go. The Public Works team has been working hard to tidy up issues around the city before the first snowfall. Curb, street repairs, and the removal of trees that pose safety concerns. Alexander Street repair, finished sidewalks, curb, gutter as of last Friday. Planning to have it paved by this Wednesday and tentatively opened by the end of the week Friday. Cleanup week is still scheduled for October 9th. And October 17th, our street maintenance crew will be attending a 4-hour winter maintenance operator certificate workshop, sorry, mouthful, training put on by the American Public Works Association. And if you guys have any questions for me.
Do you guys have any advertisements out yet for the cleanup week?
For the cleanup week, I believe those went out today.
I seen it on Facebook.
Okay.
Yep, we made a posting for that plus yard branch and twig collection on our website.
Wonderful.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Greg, anything? Thank you. Jake, anything more to add?
Thank you, Your Honor. So I got the opportunity, or took the opportunity to go to a Miami conference. It's a Minnesota Ice Arena Management Association. So it's a conference at in Cohasset at Sugar Lake Lodge, and I took the course of marketing and promoting things like that for your facility. So I felt like I was in college all over again, but it was really fun and a really good learning experience. Networked a lot, met a lot of new people, a lot of younger people, kind of in our field at the rink. So I attended that, and it was like I said, learned a lot, got a lot of information. Staff, we're kind of winding down a little bit now with mowing as the season's kind of turning. We're still doing some tidy up some around the city, but kind of winding down. So they're getting ready for winter. They're getting everything, all their winter equipment ready to go, and then just various things around the shop working on. And then we also have the CSC. It's not fully up and running, but we have one sheet of ice in the event rink. UMC rented that for the month of September, and then we take over as a city October 1st. We'll be putting in our other sheets. We'll be ready to go, I believe November or October 13th, I believe is a Monday. So we'll have the second sheet ready to go by then. And then we'll have the third sheet ready to go mid-November when we start our full program of hockey, so, and figure skating. So the CSC is going to be going soon. Myself, I've been doing a lot of scheduling for the CSC, for our youth hockey program, and just going from there. So, yeah, keep moving forward. So that's all I got.
When you were doing your networking, did you hear of any unique opportunities to advertise or like events that could be held at the CSC?
Not, I mean, small events, you know, like part of a project was, your project is to, get like elementary age kids to a program or to an event. So like our group did like skating with Santa. So you have an event with Santa, and then you take pictures with Santa. You have all these things for them. As far as what other people do, there's some ideas that I have. As far as promoting though, like, are you talking like flyers?
I'm not talking about promoting, I'm just talking about, was there any unique ideas
that
that
was
people were
one,
utilizing?
and then, one was like a noon, like what they do in Edina is a noon drop. So it's like New Year's Eve, but it's for the kids. So they have bouncy houses and dance and a DJ and things, and they drop the ball twice. They do it at like noon to 2, they drop it at 1, and then from like 3 to 5, they drop it at 4. So then everyone's ready to go, you know, done by 6. So then the parents, you know, have their night, you know what I mean? So, but the kids also got their day. So just some unique, cool kind of events that people have done, so.
That
But I
sounds
got
like
lot
a
of-
cool idea.
Yeah, but I got a lot of like emails and phone numbers and people that I've met, so it was good. It was fun, so. Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Clayton, anything?
I noticed today that the tree service was out flipping trees today down in the woods edition, so overhanging the roads and stuff, so,
Those buses.
yeah, ripping off antennas. Okay, that's all I have.
Henry, anything?
That's from me.
Christie?
I had the opportunity to do the whole ag tour or agro-tourism as part of the opening of the Ag Innovation Center. And so we were down in Fargo and went to the Northern Crop Institute, as well as Gary to the Riverview Dairy. And it was really exciting to see those pieces, and I think the importance of them is that, especially for the Northern Crop Institute, a lot of the things that they're going to be able to do in a larger scale now here in Crookston start as a small-scaled project in Fargo. And so it was really kind of nice to see the connecting of the dots and the utilization of the soybean waste possibly in these like dairy farms and things of that nature. And just the automation of the agriculture was really fascinating, and it gives me a lot of hope for the growth in the future for Crookston and the Ag Innovation Station. So I'm excited to see that, but that's all I have.
Thank you. Morgan?
First, I'd like to officially welcome Chuck to the community, so thank you for coming. I also went to the AIC grand opening, which I found extremely interesting. I went on the tour. I learned a lot, and I think it's exciting to see that come to our community and see where that goes, so I was excited for that. I also had a few people reach out to me with just questions about the levy through either in person or by the phone, and so I'd like to thank those community members for reaching out and having those questions and having those discussions, and so I welcome those. And also, it looks like Anna might have some questions or something to say as we go through. I just don't want to make sure that she doesn't get left out because I've seen her raise her hand a few times. So.
Do you want me to?
Please.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on, I know it's a little late this year since you guys weren't planning on having presentations, but since Christy asked if any of you are interested, I did put together a actual budget sheet on the renovations that we're looking to get funds for, specifically from you guys for the impound area, that really goes through like the floor repairs and the ceiling repairs that we physically have to do what safe kennels look like, because we're getting dinged from the veterinary community for unsafe kennels and those kind of things on our inspection reports. So I do actually have all that data. If any of you are interested in seeing that ever, please touch base with me and I will get your emails and stuff after the meeting and get that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And I'd also like to thank and welcome Anna for coming down. So.
yeah. I will say, I just recently was able to go to the grand opening too, and just the changes you've done in the little bit of time that you've been there has been pretty amazing, and the group that's part of that. So kudos for the work that you guys are doing or continuing to do.
I'm good. That's
All right,
it.
thank you. Tim?
I'll double up on the kudos, Anna, for the excellent work that you've accomplished in your short tenure, and really look forward to working with you. I just want to make a comment on how much I appreciate the engagement of our community throughout this process. I've also had constituents reach out by phone and stopping me while I'm walking my dogs. And I really am excited to see the level of participation and am encouraged by the engagement that I've seen in our community with regard to the city council and the processes that we're going through. Every meeting is an enlightening meeting for me. We have a talented group of people that are committed to the future, forward thinking of growing this community in every way that we can. So thank you for your continued participation in the processes of this growth of our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Delane?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Joe?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Don?
I got a couple of things here. The Chamber of Commerce offered the Myers-Briggs personality inventory to employers in the city last week, and had a great time doing that. We'll be making some changes in the future in the chamber, and you'll hear about that in the future. And we want to thank Ward 4. Ward 4 wants to thank Brandon and his people about the fixing of the water mains and also the roads down in our ward. I have had a lot of calls saying that it's about time that we get going on doing that, because the ward, they said exactly that the ward has kind of been left in the dust for a little while. And now if we can start doing some things to make it positive and make it nice down there again, that's good, and we're moving forward in that direction. So I want to thank the city people, departments that are working, and you guys do a great job. You have a great group of department heads, and it's about time that we start respecting them and let them do their job and give them some advice. They can give us our advice back also, but I'm really impressed with the new department heads that we have just assigned or hired. And thank you, Chuck. Is it Chuck? Chuck, yeah. Yeah, welcome to we're looking forward to working with you. I'm looking forward to working with you. So anyway, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Rich, forgot to call anything from Widseth.
That's okay, because between Chuck and Brandon, they stole my thunder. So.
All right, good to know. Thank you. I also attended the Ag Innovation Campus open house. It was a nice turnout. It's gonna be a really neat operation they got going out there, and they're already working on phase 2. Not sure what it consists of, because it was kind of blended in with phase 3, but they are being very aggressive moving forward. I also had the opportunity, I went to down to Perham, and I did some networking with mayors. I was hoping there'd be a few around the Crookston area, but it was more central and kind of towards the east of Perham area that attended. But they pretty much got the same concerns I do, you know, they question how much to raise the levy, and, you know, they talk about putting fees on different things, and they're nervous about that. The League of Minnesota put it on, they gave us an update regarding what St. Paul did the last session, and what they're looking, the league is moving forward with what they want to do with the next session. Of course, the cannabis was a big talk down there, nobody wants to touch it, so. That's all I got. Just a reminder, there's no Ways and Means meeting tonight. I want to thank you, everybody that attended tonight. Please, if you have any questions regarding our levy, our budget process, please reach out to any one of us. Once again, thank you. We are adjourned.